Have you ever heard the sound of silence? Imagine this. You're standing in a forest at dawn, the air crisp and cool against your skin. The world is still. No hum of traffic, no chatter of voices, just the faint rustle of leaves and the soft breath of the wind. In that moment, the silence isn't empty. It's alive, whispering truths you didn't know you needed to hear. Have you ever noticed how silence can sometimes shout louder than the noisiest crowd? As we grow older, the world seems to crank up the volume. New gadgets buzzing, social expectations pressing in, and a constant clamor from the people around us. But what if I told you that the secret to a longer, more peaceful life might be hiding in the quiet? Not just a break from the noise, but a powerful tool that sharpens your mind, soothes your soul, and even strengthens your body. I'm not here to preach from a textbook. I'm here to share a story, like a friend leaning across the table with a warm cup of tea, unraveling a truth that's been waiting for you to notice. Silence isn't something to dodge as we age. It's something to wrap around yourself like a soft blanket. Today, we're going to wander through 7 reasons why embracing silence in your later years can transform your life, lifting your spirits, deepening your connections, and maybe even adding a few extra candles to your birthday cake. Stick with me until the end, because these insights might just shift how you see those quiet moments. Ready? Let's step into the stillness together. Reason 1. Sharpens your mind like a blade. Picture a cluttered attic stuffed with old boxes, dusty trinkets, and tangled strings of Christmas lights. That's what our minds can feel like as we age, overflowing with memories, to-do lists, and the endless chatter of daily life. At 74, Clara Hensley knows this chaos well. She's always been a whirlwind, phone buzzing with grandkids' updates, TV blaring the news, a neighbor dropping by for a chat. But lately, she's felt scattered, like her thoughts are slipping through her fingers. Then there's Elias Turner, also 74, who starts his mornings differently. He sits on his porch with a steaming mug of coffee, the world hushed except for the chirp of sparrows. In that stillness, he sorts through his thoughts like a librarian shelving books, planning his day, mulling over a memory, or just letting his mind breathe. Silence, you see, is like opening a window in that cluttered attic, letting fresh air sweep away the dust. When we turn down the volume of the world, our brains get a chance to rest and refocus. Studies back this up. Quiet moments let your mind process information more efficiently, cutting through the fog to find clarity. For Elias, it's not just about staying sharp, it's about feeling in control. One morning, he sat in silence and pieced together a decision he'd been wrestling with, whether to downsize his home. Without the noise, the answer came clear as day. Yes, it was time. Clara, though, she's starting to wonder. Last week, she turned off the radio during breakfast just to try it. At first, the quiet felt strange, almost heavy, but then she noticed the taste of her toast, the warmth of the sun through the window, and a memory of her late husband laughing at the table years ago. Her mind felt lighter, less tangled. As we age, keeping our thoughts clear isn't just a luxury, it's a lifeline to a life with purpose. Silence hands us that gift, letting us hear ourselves think again. So if this resonates with you, drop a number 1 in the comments. I'd love to know you're here. Reason 2. A balm for the storm within aging can feel like walking through a storm sometimes, can't it? The worries pile up, health hiccups, the future's uncertainty, the ache of missing old friends. At 74, Lila Grayson knows that storm too well. She's always on the move. Lunch dates, book clubs, scrolling her phone late into the night. But beneath her busy hum, there's a tightness in her chest. She can't shake, a quiet panic that creeps in when she slows down. Then there's Owen Brooks, also 74, who's found a different path. He takes long walks through the park near his house. The crunch of gravel underfoot, his only soundtrack. No earbuds, no rush, just him and the trees. When he sits on a bench watching ducks glide across the pond, he feels the tension melt away like ice thawing in the spring sun. Silence is a healer, a natural antidote to the stress that gnaws at us. Science agrees. Quiet triggers your body's relaxation response, slowing your heart, easing your breath, and dialing down cortisol, that pesky stress hormone. Owen stumbled into this by accident. After a doctor's visit left him rattled, a blood pressure spike he didn't see coming. He skipped his usual coffee shop chatter and walked instead. In the stillness, he felt his shoulders drop, his mind settle. Lila's starting to catch on, too. One rainy afternoon, she sat by her window. No TV, no phone, just the patter of rain. For the first time in months, she didn't feel like she was running from something. Think of it like this. Life's noise is a radio stuck on high volume, blaring static. Silence turns it off, letting your body and soul catch their breath. As we get older, taming that stress isn't just nice, it's vital. It's about building a little sanctuary, even when the world outside feels like a whirlwind. If this strikes a chord, let me know with a number 2 in the comments. I'm rooting for you. Reason 3, a mirror for the soul. There's a moment, isn't there, when you catch yourself looking back. At 82, Theo Marshall rarely stops to look. He's the family's glue, hosting barbecues, cheering at grandkids' soccer games, always surrounded by laughter and noise. But lately, he's felt a tug, a quiet ache to sit with his life story. Across town, Nora Finch, also 82, has made that her ritual. She sits in her armchair each evening, a journal in her lap, the house still except for the tick of a clock. In that silence, she traces her past, her first job at the bakery, the day she met her husband under a willow tree, the sting of losing him 5 years back. She's not just remembering, she's understanding. Silence is the space where reflection blooms. It's not about dwelling in regret. It's about sifting through your years like a prospector, panning for gold, finding meaning in the grit and the gleam. Nora's quiet hours have taught her things, how she's stronger than she thought, how small kindnesses she gave decades ago still ripple outward. One night, she wrote about her old friend Millie, who'd passed last year. In the stillness, she realized she'd been carrying guilt for not calling more. Writing it down, she let it go, feeling lighter. Theo's tried it once, sitting alone after a party. The quiet unnerved him at first, but then a memory surfaced, teaching his son to ride a bike. The boy's wobbly triumph. He smiled, wondering what else he might find if he lingered there. As we age, these moments of looking back aren't just nostalgia, they're wisdom. Silence asks the big questions. What have I built? What do I still dream of? How do I want to be remembered? It's a gentle mirror, showing us who we've been and who we still are. If this stirs something in you, drop a number 3 below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Reason 4, the quiet strength of connection. Ever sat with someone you love, not saying a word, and felt closer than ever? At 79, Jasper Cole is a talker. Jokes at the ready, stories spilling out at every gathering. His friends adore him, but sometimes they leave feeling unheard, like he's a radio they can't tune down. Then there's Ivy Harper, also 79, who's mastered the art of quiet presence. She sits with her daughter on the porch swing, the creak of wood the only sound, or shares tea with a friend, listening as they unravel their day. Her silence isn't cold. It's warm, inviting, a gift that says, "I'm here, and I hear you." Silence in relationships isn't about pulling away. It's about leaning in. It's the pause that lets you really listen, catching the tremble in a voice or the hope behind a smile. Ivy learned this years ago, sitting with her husband during his last months. Words failed them, but the quiet they shared, hands clasped, breathing in sync, said everything. Jasper's starting to see it too. Last week, he sat with his grandson, who'd flunked a test. Instead of joking it off, he stayed quiet, letting the boy talk. The kid's relief was palpable, and Jasper felt a bond tighten he hadn't noticed before. As we age, we don't need to fill every gap with noise. Silence builds bridges, empathy, respect, understanding, stronger than words sometimes can. It's not retreat, it's presence, a way to say, "You matter," without saying a thing. If this hits home, toss a number 4 in the comments. I'm all ears. Reason 5. Living fully in the now during slows us down, doesn't it? But that slower pace can be a gift, a chance to really see the world. At 77, Hazel Reed fights that gift. She's a doer, errands, chores, the radio always on to keep her company. She feels productive, but she misses the details, the way the light dances on her kitchen floor, the smell of rain through an open window. Then there's Silas Grant, also 77, who's found peace in the quiet. He tends his garden, hands in the soil, listening to the hum of bees and the rustle of petals. He's not rushing, he's savoring, fully awake to the moment. Silence is the heartbeat of mindfulness. It pulls us into the now, away from the blur of distractions. Silas didn't always get it. Years ago, he was like Hazel, always moving. But one day, recovering from a knee surgery, he sat outside, forced to be still. The quiet wrapped around him, and he noticed things. The warmth of the sun, the chatter of squirrels. It wasn't just rest. It was connection to himself and the world. Hazel tried it recently, sitting in her yard with no agenda. At first, her mind raced, but then she heard the wind, felt the grass underfoot, and smiled at a memory of her kids playing there decades ago. This isn't about doing nothing. It's about being present. Silence lets us taste our coffee, feel the breeze, hear our own heartbeat. As we age, it's a way to cherish the small joys we might otherwise miss. If this sparks something, leave a number 5 below. I'd love to know. Reason 6. A reservoir of vitality, energy isn't what it used to be, is it? At 82, Felix Warren loves the buzz. Dinners with friends, planning trips, always in the thick of it. He thrives on it, but by evening, he's wiped out, needing a nap to recover. Then there's Cora Delaney, also 82, who's learned to hoard her strength like a squirrel with acorns. She reads by her window in the morning, sunlight spilling across the page, or takes slow walks at dusk. The world hushed. She's not drained. She's steady, ready for what matters. Silence is an energy saver, a way to recharge without burning out. It's not laziness, it's strategy. Cora figured this out after a bout of flu left her weak. She ditched the TV, sat with a cup of tea, and let the quiet restore her. By day's end, she felt alive, not spent. Felix tried it once, skipping a noisy lunch to sit in his backyard. The stillness felt odd, but he heard birds, felt the sun, and later had the zip to play cards with his wife, something he'd been too tired for lately. As we age, energy's precious. Silence guards it, letting us rest our minds and bodies so we can pour ourselves into the joys. Grandkids, hobbies, a good book. It's not just peace, it's power for the long haul. If this rings true, drop a number 6 in the comments. I'm here for it. Reason 7. A bridge to inner peace. What if silence could be your compass, guiding you to a calm you didn't know was possible? At 70, Ruby Langston used to dread quiet. She'd crank the radio, call a friend, anything to dodge it. Silence felt like loneliness, a void she couldn't face. But one winter, stuck indoors by a snowstorm, she had no choice. She lit a candle, sat by the fire, and let the stillness settle. The crackle of logs, the flicker of light. It wasn't empty, it was full, brimming with a peace she hadn't felt in years. Now she seeks it out, a daily ritual that steadies her. Silence isn't absence, it's a presence, a quiet strength that roots us. Ruby's neighbor, Milo, saw her change. At 71, he's a skeptic. Quiet's for monks, he'd say. But one night, after a fight with his son, he sat alone. No TV, no phone. The silence stung at first, heavy with anger. Then it softened, and he heard his own breath, felt his heart slow. He didn't solve the fight, but he found a stillness to carry into it later. For Ruby, it's more. Silence is where she meets herself, untangling old hurts, dreaming new dreams. As we age, life's noise can drown out that inner voice. Silence brings it back, a bridge to peace that's always been there, waiting. It's not escape, it's arrival, a homecoming to your truest self. If this moves you, leave a number 7 below. I'd love to hear your take. Final thoughts. The gift of quiet. So here we are, at the end of our journey through the stillness. Embracing silence as we age isn't about shutting out the world. It's about opening up to it in a new way. It sharpens our minds, soothes our stress, deepens our reflections, and strengthens our bonds. It keeps us present, preserves our energy, and guides us to peace. For so many, these quiet moments aren't just nice. They're life-changing, a wellspring of clarity and calm in a noisy world. Next time you find yourself alone, don't rush to fill the space. Let the silence in. Feel its weight, its warmth. Let it recharge you, guide you, wrap you in its gentle embrace. It's not just golden, it's essential, a companion for the years ahead. Thanks for walking this path with me today. Drop a comment below. Tell me one thing you've learned, how you'll weave silence into your life. Your voice matters to me, and reading it keeps me going. If this resonated, like, subscribe, share. It helps me keep sharing stories like this. See you in the next one.